Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Bible Thumper podcast, where somebody's got to say it. My name is Patrick Hayes, your regular host, and with me tonight is my beautiful wife, JoAnna. JoAnna, thank you for making it into the studio this evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I wasted an entire weekend of my life sitting in a class for our children's hunter safety cards. So that's what those are. Let's see, children number 4 and 5 got through their hunter safety class. It was all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and we finished up today, and I got home and basically got to relax for like 1 hour and then came down here and started getting ready for the podcast. So that was my weekend.
Yeah, we had separate weekends.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see you or most of the kids, or, I didn't really spend much time at home doing anything. It wasn't great. The class is tough to sit through. It's my third time sitting through that class, at least, maybe more. And it's funny because I asked our older kids to help the younger kids with their homework because you and I went to my mom's house last night.
Right.
And the kids were real worried that they weren't helping them right, or they weren't learning the stuff well enough. And I asked Moses, I said, okay, Moses, what's the last question you were asking Grace? And he's like, list 5 ways that the Colorado Parks and Wildlife brings in revenue to help support, whatever.
I was like, these are for 9-year-olds.
First of all, they're for 9 and 11-year-olds that were taking the class. And then I asked Moses, does knowing that information help you to be a better hunter? He's like, no. I said, does it make you a safer hunter? He said, no. I said, does it help you with any part of the process of hunting? He said, no. I said, okay, so that's how much effort you need to get this homework done. I said, just do it. Find the answer. I don't care if you fill it in for them.
Yeah, what does it matter?
So much of the class is put together by someone that works for the state, probably over in Denver, probably who has never hunted in their life, and they're teaching these kids stuff that just absolutely doesn't matter and has no bearing. So me and another one of the dads that was a lot like me were sitting in the back, rolling our eyes, just, frustrated about the whole thing. But they're through it. So
yeah, and they passed.
They passed.
Yep,
They passed
they
the shooting portion.
Worried.
They passed the test. So I'm thrilled. Before we get into the topic for this evening, I wanted to just address the audience for a minute and kind of explain some stuff to them. And honestly, to you too, because we haven't really talked about this. And I just had an idea and I kind of wanted to lay the groundwork. For everyone that doesn't know, this is my wife, JoAnna. And we have 6 children. We have 5 boys and 1 girl. And they range in ages, or I should say their ages are 15, 14, 13, 11, 9, and 8 right now. So they're pretty close in age. They don't get much closer in age as far as a family goes. And I wanted to let everyone know that we are not finished being parents. I don't claim to be the world's best parent or a perfect parent, but we are serious Christian parents who try to make decisions for our life and the life of our kids and our family based on what the Bible says, and we discuss things based on Scripture. So most of the folks that are listening are probably never going to meet our children other than our friends and people locally that know us or go to our church. And I think that's too bad because most people that spend time around our kids are usually somewhat complimentary as far as our kids are polite and, they're very nice and, they will look you right in the eye and they'll talk to you. They have pretty good communication skills and they're very social with old people, young people, everything. So it's a shame. I kind of wish more people had the opportunity to meet our kids that, might be on this podcast listening. But okay, what are you going to do? So I thought the idea of having you on as a regular guest. So from now on, every 3rd Sunday of the month, you are going to be my guest on here. And we were going to share our experiences as Christian parents, both good and bad, what we've learned, what we do. And I really wanted to try to help people get practical answers to the principles in the Bible. So we read things in the Bible and we're like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I believe that, and I believe that, and I believe that. Great. How do we apply that to our life?
Daily life. How
You
does
got
that
it.
play out
How does it play out
in my day-to-day?
day to day with the kids in a family?
Sure.
So that is the goal for having you on here. Also, it is a shameless ploy to try to get more women to listen to this podcast. So if that works, great.
I like it.
Okay. So before we go any further, I wanted to read what I'm going to say is our, but really I wrote this. I didn't talk to you about it yet.
Boy.
So
What is it?
So it could be my main Bible verse that is the foundation of our discussions. So after I do this, you tell me if you, tell me if I get a thumbs up. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so here it is. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4-9. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. Thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. This verse, if you are Jewish, you know what this verse is because it's the beginning to one of the most famous and popular prayers for the nation of Israel. If you are a parent, this is one of the most important verses in the Bible for you. I think it is. We are commanded to teach our children the law of the Lord. So I can very easily explain that as we are to teach our children the Bible. Now, certainly keep in mind, this is the book of Deuteronomy. So at the time, the law of the Lord included 5 books when Moses wrote this, when God told him to. But I don't think God meant teach these 5 books and forget, and forget about the other 61. The prophets and all, the kings and the historical books. Forget those. I do think those are certainly included. I think the law of the Lord, although when we talk about the Bible, the Old Testament is comprised of what's called the law and the prophets, but I don't feel like I'm stretching it when I say for the Christian, whenever we talk about the law of the Lord, it's very easy to use that both connotatively and denotatively as the entire Bible and just the first 5 books, the Pentateuch, which is the law of Moses. I don't think that's stretching it. Either way, the point in this verse is that we are not only commanded to teach our children, but we are to teach them diligently. So God explains that we are to teach our children when we sit in our house, when we walk by the way, when we lie down, and when we rise up. So with these verses in Deuteronomy, I want to make 2 points. One, it is our job as parents to teach our children the Bible. If you are relying on your local church and your youth group, then you have failed as a parent. It is not their job, and you cannot stand before God one day and say, well, we went to church on Sundays and I passed them off to the youth group and the youth leader. I mean, what more did you want? I see that as a total failure of parents, but I also see that as a very common path that most Christian parents in America take today.
Yeah, I've seen that also.
Do you have any problem with that idea?
No, it sounds good.
The second thing I wanted to bring up is that I am not only commanded to do it, I am commanded to take it very seriously. And I, as a parent, specifically as a dad, okay, the patriarch, the leader of the home, I am commanded to work very hard at it. So for you and I, our goal is to help everybody who's listening learn what the Bible says about raising children. And we want to talk about practically applying these principles that we find in the Bible to our lives. What do you think of that as our third Sunday of the month Bible Thumper podcast, JoAnna as a regular guest mission statement and Bible verse?
I love it.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Wonderful. So, JoAnna, when we started homeschooling, which would have been 16 years ago?
Yeah. Well, 12 years ago?
Sure.
Moses was 4?
Yeah, you're right. I guess we didn't start when he was a newborn. So 12 years ago. Even though we were doing some preparation and research into it for sure, we had a discussion and we talked about the skills and knowledge we wanted our children to have. And we focused on what we believed was most important and what the public schools fail to teach. So if you had to make a list right now, so I'm just asking you out of the blue, and I know we've talked about this a few times over the years. So JoAnna, what are the things you want your kids to know and the skills you want them to have before they leave your house?
Okay.
No wrong answer. This is the brainstorming phase.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say my top priority would be love God.
You're just saying that because it's a Bible podcast. Lame.
Do I get points?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, but really, that's,
what a phony. Okay. No.
And that means, that encompasses several things. Okay. But then second would be, are you a nice person?
Okay.
I've known people who seem to love God, but they struggle with being a nice person.
So we can say we want them to be personable, kind, and have people skills.
Yes.
So I would always include kindness as part of people. You don't have people skills if you're mean and selfish.
Right.
Okay, but it's good to define it a little better. So kindness.
I mean, I have met some people that I got to know that were genuine Christians, but they were a little grumpy.
Absolutely.
And that just, I don't like it.
They're miserable. And, you don't want to be around them.
Right.
They're not attractive. They're not the people that you're dying to hang out with.
Sourpuss.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway.
Mr. and Mrs. Grumpy Pants.
Right. And
okay, what else? Love God. Kind and personable.
Right. And third would be hardworking.
You're just going to leave it there. That's it. You have a big definite explanation for the other one.
Okay. Well, do you want me to explain hardworking?
No, that's fine. Because honestly, that is tonight's discussion.
And
it's going to be about work ethic.
Right. Those are all before any scholastics would come into play.
Oh, yeah. And I had, let's see, I made a short list. I had on there honesty and integrity.
Oh man, I missed that one.
Well, I mean, we stopped at 3 and I jumped in.
Well, it's hard to pick, but if you want to,
keep going, and really the idea that we had when we started this discussion many, many years ago was no matter what they end up doing with their life, these things are going to help them. If they are hardworking, if they are honest, if they have integrity, if they are kind, if they have good people skills, if they have all these things, it really doesn't matter what area they are in. If they are pouring concrete, if they go to school to get a degree in mathematics, if they become an engineer, if they work at the post office, if they work in the ministry, these things are going to help you.
Yeah. Being nice to people will actually get you a long ways.
It really will.
Something so simple.
Nobody wants to put someone in management that is abrasive.
Right.
That's never helpful. So we had this discussion and we said, okay, well, it looks like the public schools don't really focus on any of this. And these were, as you said, and I agree, above scholastics. The idea that my kids leave my house at 18 and don't have these things nailed down would be a terrible failure for me as a parent. If my kids still had work to do with math and with history and with some of the sciences, I wouldn't look at that as a failure. They can still learn those things. And they can learn these things as well. But the fact is, they are going to want these things as soon as they get out into the world. As soon as they start working, as soon as they start going to the church youth group, as soon as they enter whatever, the Boy Scouts or 4-H or whatever they do, you want these things in their life. So tonight's discussion is going to be about work ethic and chores. So can we?
I like chores.
Well, let me tell
kids
you.
chores.
Yeah.
I like kids chores.
Can we take a quick look at what the Bible says? I wanted to kind of jump in and explain a little bit about the hard worker versus the lazy person and God's plan here.
I'm glad you wrote down the Bible verses because I came down here to do the podcast like, oh no, all I have is my own experience.
That's fine. Yeah.
No Bible verses.
Okay, so starting off in Genesis chapter 2, verses 15 through 18. And I tell this story all the time. And let me just read the verses first. Obviously, this is in the first 2 chapters of the Bible. We're dealing with Adam and Eve. And the Lord God took the man, and that's talking about Adam, and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an help meet for him. So question 1 for you, JoAnna. There are 2 things that God expected of Adam before he gave him a wife. What were those 2 things?
Well, he would have his life's calling.
Yes, that's one.
And what was the other one?
Yeah, the second one, both of these you have to, they are implied a little bit.
Or maybe instead of life calling, kind of direction.
Yeah.
From the Lord, right?
Either one's fine.
He has to know where he's going.
Yes. So God gave Adam a job. He said, this is the garden.
Sure. Okay.
Tend to the garden.
He gave him a job.
You got it. He said, this is the Garden of Eden, dress it and keep it. There it is. And then the second thing was God gave Adam all the commandments in the history of the world, which at that time was 1. Don't eat of this tree. So that is representative of the law of the Lord. So God gave Adam the law of the Lord. Now we're only going to deal with one of God's 2 requirements prior to man marrying a woman, and that is a job. And I say that this is a requirement God has for men. He must work. If the man doesn't have a direction for his life's work, then he has no business asking a woman to follow him for the rest of her life in marriage. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, as a woman, in my position, it sounds fair.
Sure.
I like it. I like that you have a job.
Absolutely.
And
have you ever met a woman whose husband was lazy and couldn't bring home the bacon, so to speak? It's a giant source of frustration and stress.
It is. It's tough on the whole family.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Do you want your daughter marrying a guy without a job?
No.
Or a guy that has no plan for his life and what he's going to do to support his wife?
No.
Do you think any mother would want that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously there's always the exceptions of someone gets hurt, someone gets sick.
Yeah. You change jobs.
That's going to happen.
Absolutely. You decide you hate what you do. The degree you have isn't it. You're going to go back to school. You're going to do something else.
Right.
Fine. Yeah. Life throws your curveballs.
Right. But definitely a young man coming to wanting to date Grace when she's older, I would hope he has some oomph. What do they call it?
Yeah.
Gusto.
Yeah.
Something.
You want him to be a hard worker. You want him to have drive. You want him to have a goal and be on a path.
Yeah.
And I always use the joke that I've heard from some preacher somewhere, which is if you don't know where you're going, then any train will get you there. So the guy needs to be on a path. He needs, I think it's good to have, say, a 5-year plan, which again can change, but the guy's got to be on a path somewhere. Otherwise, he's not ready to ask another human being to give up her life and follow him if he has no idea where he's going. That's the point.
I think that's fair. It's something I would want.
Now, in 1 Timothy 5:8, we read, "But if any provide not for his own, and specially for those of his own household, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." And the Bible actually says, if you don't work, you don't get to eat.
Right. Wow, that's our society now is so different.
Yeah, it's a lot different. Okay, so I have a couple more verses in the Proverbs that talk about being lazy and being hardworking, and I just want to run through a few of these. In Proverbs 10, verses 4 and 5, "He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. He that gathereth in summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in harvest is a son that causeth shame." This talks about how lazy children are ashamed to their parents. And it talks specifically about sleeping during harvest. And it's funny it mentions that. And I know not everybody has experience in agriculture, but those that do, they know that the saying is you got to grow hay while the sun shines, because you don't get a say. So when the sun's shining, guess what? You got to be out there doing something. Okay, when it's pouring rain, well, there's a lot of jobs we can't do. But when the sun's shining and the sun is up, it's daytime and the weather's good, you have to be working. And when it's harvest time, it's harvest time. You don't get to determine that. The fruit on the trees, the vegetables in the garden, those things tell you when it's time. When the cow is going to calf, it's just going to happen.
Can I say something?
Oh yeah. Wait. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just jump in.
That just got me thinking. That verse infers a lot more, because I'm thinking about our own experience with farming. If you're lazy during harvest, it's almost like a double sin in my mind, because not only are you wasting what you can have today, you're wasting everything that you're going to put up for the winter.
Yep. And you did all that work preparing the ground and seeding. What's the point if you're not going to take the harvest seriously?
Right. I mean, it's a really damaging thing to do to yourself.
Absolutely.
To sleep during harvest. It's not just today's sin.
Correct. It's not that you took off one day from work because you wanted a 3-day weekend because you didn't feel like going into work.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
This is a major...
It's months. It could be months of ramifications.
Absolutely. Okay, Proverbs chapter 20, verse 4, "The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold."
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's too cold.
I know. "Therefore shall he beg in harvest."
Yeah.
And have nothing. So think of this. Throughout the entire Bible, the lazy are talked about as if they are worthless. They go hungry. They are a curse on their entire family, and they end up as slaves. And I've met plenty of lazy people, and I don't want my children marrying any of them, because I know what a headache that will be for the rest of their life.
I agree. And all I can think about now is the welfare system.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all that keeps coming to your head.
When I was in college, I was getting through it on my own without any help, paying for rent and all of that. I was encouraged by several well-meaning Christian people to get on to whatever government help I could, because I could qualify.
So get on any government assistance that you can.
Food stamps, Medicaid, all of those things.
Any type of housing allowance and everything.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just I didn't want to get on it.
Sure. Well, and you had a job, though. The whole time I've known you had a job, a full-time job, or however many hours you could fit in while going to school.
I worked the most minimum wage job with the nicest people, a bagel shop.
Yep.
And, I refused to get on to the welfare system. I prayed for God's help, paid my tithe. And they would send me home with as many day-old bagels as I could eat. I can't believe I didn't break 200 pounds. But anyway.
And get diabetes.
Well, I wasn't gluten intolerant then. So, hey, it was good.
So I have one more verse and then I'll be done. We can kind of get into family stuff.
Oh, yeah. We need to get into our actual topic, right?
Yeah. This is all by way of introduction. Okay, this is one of my favorites. Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer and gathereth her food in the harvest.
I love that verse.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love the word sluggard.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, we don't use that enough anymore.
Right. That's what I think I'll call the kids next time.
So God tells the lazy to go watch ants because the ants are smart enough to work when they need to. They don't need a boss to watch over them. And they have a discipline in their lives that helps them and everyone in their family.
I like it.
So I'm going to assume that everyone wants their child to marry a hardworking person instead of a lazy one, right? I mean, that's fair. Okay, so newsflash, mom and dad, your child will not become a hardworking, disciplined Christian on accident. So how do you do it? Practically speaking, how do we make our child a hardworking, disciplined Christian? Or better yet, this is always kind of a fun way to do it. Let's start with this. What's the wrong thing to do? As far as a parent, okay, you're a parent. Let's make a list. You've seen families that have missed the ball, dropped the ball, missed the boat, whatever you want to say. What will not get you the result you want? Let's make a list. What are all the wrong things to do if you want a hardworking kid?
Number one big thing I hear other moms say, it's just easier if I do the dishes. It's just easier.
Okay, so
and faster. Number one, you don't let them do anything. You do the cleaning for them.
So clean your kids' room for them every time.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? What's on the list?
Let them do whatever they want.
That's too broad. Give me specifics here. Yeah.
I would say, well, I mean, this kind of goes along with the first one, but no chores.
Too specific.
I'll
give you another one. Okay. Wash and fold all of your kids' laundry for them.
Yes.
Okay.
That's one I've heard.
Great. Give me another one. How do you ruin a kid?
Don't let them help you in the kitchen.
Okay. Cook all their meals for them. Don't let them cook anything.
Right.
Okay. I will say don't let them buy anything for themselves. Buy everything for them.
Yeah. Don't do that. I like that one.
What else?
Don't punish them when they don't do their chores.
Okay.
No repercussions.
Okay. No consequences or punishment. Yeah. Because that's a great life lesson, right? That's how their boss is going to act. How about don't let them mow the lawn?
Sure. That'd be a mistake.
What else you got?
Well, okay. If they come to you and there's something they're excited about, like they'd like to do a lemonade stand is the smallest thing I could think of. I'm trying to think of what other kids have opportunities to do that ours. Our kids have a lot of opportunities on a farm. So don't discourage them when they come to you and there's something semi-work related.
No, this is a list of things not to do.
Yeah.
So you want to say discourage them.
Oh, discourage them.
Whenever they show initiative.
Okay. Yes. You put it so much better than I did.
Okay. I'm going to say, you ready for this? Because this one I know I'm going to get pushback on from parents out there, especially the moms. Don't let them lift heavy things or use tools that might be dangerous.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yep. Now, keep in mind, I'm not talking about giving a skill saw to a 4-year-old. Right. Obviously, when our kids use tools that are dangerous, they learn how to do it with an appropriate amount of training from dad before they do.
Right.
But the fact is, our kids, when they were 10, 11, and 12, were driving the tractor. They were running a leaf blower, using a weed eater and a lawnmower. And I mean, they were doing.
Our daughter now uses a regular chef knife to cut the food with me. She started off with a sharper plastic type of knife, but
until you felt comfortable.
Right.
They use food processors and blenders.
Yeah, they do actually.
Yep.
So
they cook on the
gas cooktop.
Stove. Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with them lifting heavy things, with them using dangerous tools. The parents that won't let their kids do that they are never going to move their kids forward and help their kids become what they want them to. Okay, here's a big one for me. You want to ruin your kid? Give them an allowance for doing nothing.
Yeah, I never liked that. I never got an allowance. Maybe that's why I don't.
That has always driven me crazy. When parents are like, okay, it's Friday, everybody line up. Here's $10 for doing nothing.
Yeah, and actually,
what are we training there?
Right. I haven't met anyone personally. I know I've heard of people giving a regular allowance, but the kids have to do chores.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I've never thought of doing that, but.
So I am 100% against allowance across the board.
Okay.
We have never given our kids an allowance. And we'll never give our kids an allowance. I know people whose kids have a debit card, and the parents will just fill their bank account every weekend with whatever it is, $20, $50. I mean, it's up to the parent. But I am 100% against that. I think that is absolutely ruining your kid, because what you're doing is you're training reliance on somebody else.
Yeah.
You are not training self-reliance
and independence.
And independence. So you are literally training your kid to be a part of the welfare state.
Yes. And as a side note, there seems to be this huge problem right now in our country where there's grown adults living off their parents still.
Absolutely.
30s, 40s, 50s. Remember, there's one person we know of that was in their 50s, and the parents
still
are
living
rent.
in the
Cutting a check for rent.
Absolutely.
So I could see that.
And really, I don't look at that as a problem with the kids. That's not the kid's problem. That is a failure of the parents. Whatever parent is writing that check and letting your kid live with you and supporting your kid is failing their child. They're the reason the child has not left the nest. What do birds do at some point?
Don't they push their...
They push the baby birds out of the nest.
Wow.
All right, time to fly, buddy.
Hardcore.
Yeah, better figure it out. That's what happens. And parents are so scared to death to do that. Now, keep in mind, God designed birds to fly. Okay, so, it's not like there's a bird shortage. It works. The system God set up works. Push them out of the nest.
I had one of the kids ask me about that idea of, well, if I do this chores, do I get $1? And I said, no, why not? I'm like, well, you live here, so you need help.
You got it. You are part of a family, and this family unit all works together to survive.
Exactly.
Because mom and dad, we don't get paid to do the laundry or clean the kitchen or cook the meals or do anything. Well, neither do you.
Yeah, we all need to help each other to keep life going.
That's right. That's part of what we do here is we all work. You don't get paid for it. Now, if you want to get paid, we'll make a way for you to get paid. You can go to work with dad. But you're gonna get up early, you're gonna pack a lunch, you're gonna work hard all day, and you're gonna have dad riding you and yelling at you, for 8 hours in the day, like a real job. You don't get paid unless it's a real job. And I'll take the kids that are really too young to be any good to me to work. And really what they're doing is they're getting training. They're learning the names of the tools. They're learning where the tools go in the truck. They're learning how to wake up early and work hard all day without complaining and carry heavy things. They're learning how to wrap up an extension cord and a garden hose and put them back on the truck. And it's really not worth much money to me, especially when they're young and they're new. But it's totally worth it for me to do that just to have the kids be on the path to learning how to work hard. I don't want them to learn how to work hard at their first job as a teenager.
Yeah, that is like ripping the Band-Aid off.
Absolutely. And then you're forcing an employer
to train them.
It was your job.
Ethic, right.
Yeah, it was your job to teach them.
Yeah.
You're supposed to bring the kid to their first job knowing how to work hard, how to say yes, sir, how to run, how to hustle.
And that's really unfair to your kid, because not only are they learning the specific job, they're just learning how to actually go to work.
Yeah.
Get up in the morning.
They're learning the basics.
You can't play video games at all today. Yep. You have to work all day.
And the kids, when they go to their first job without any training from their parents, they feel stupid.
Yeah. I remember that.
It's not fair to their kids.
Well, I had some training, but I do remember
Yep.
some of those feelings.
Okay, so I wanted to go over something that is a super frustration to me, and I just wanted to talk about this for a minute while we were going over this list of things you can do to ruin your kids and make sure they never learn how to work hard. So I know one family who has a bunch of kids. They have more than us. I think they have like 8 kids. Okay, they might have 9. I don't remember. I've been to their house many times. It is dirty to the point where I feel uncomfortable walking in the house. And I'm wearing like work boots.
Mm.
There is always dirty laundry everywhere. The kids' rooms are a mess. The living room is a mess. The kitchen is a mess. This has been the case every single time I have been to this house. Every time I've been there, the kids are all doing nothing. I've never seen them fold laundry. I've never seen them with a broom in their hands. I've never seen them picking anything up. I've never seen them cleaning a dish. What I have seen all of these kids doing all at once is sitting in the living room watching TV while their mom is working around the kids to clean the house.
No good.
No, it makes me want to, blood is just like shooting out of my eyes when I see this. And when one of the kids is with me working at this house,
do they say anything? Do they notice?
I'll bring the kids over and I'll be like, hey, I want you to take a look in here and tell me what's wrong. And literally all the kids are sitting there on the couch, on the floor, on chairs, watching TV while the mom is trying to keep up on this entire house. It's one of the biggest parenting fails I've seen when it comes to training your kids to be a hard worker. And again, it's the kids that are losing out.
Yeah, they're going to suffer because in real life will hit them one day.
Yep.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
If you don't have, if you haven't cleaned, if you haven't even been made to pick up your room, do your laundry.
Yeah.
If you do end up getting the oomph to move out, then what do you do when it's time to do your laundry and you have to?
Well, you're going to be a slob and
is,
you're never going to get married.
Right.
Or the person you're going to get married to is going to be a complete moron because only a complete moron would want to marry someone like that.
Well, or you have.
Or you marry another slob and you perpetuate the system.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because honestly, when I see stuff like that, the only thought going through my head is, I don't want my kids dating one of them. I don't want my kids marrying someone like that.
Yeah, it'd be a point of frustration.
Absolutely.
Well, and I have met those couples where one is very messy and organized, the other one isn't. And that's a point of frustration.
Sure.
A big one.
So I want to talk about 2 things as far as what you got to do to make your kid a hard worker. The first thing I was thinking about was a schedule. I think it's important for your kids to be on a tight schedule from as young of an age as possible. What do you think?
Well, I think it would help. I'm obviously, I'm not the best person to stick to those things, although I get a lot done, but my scheduling is not as good as it could be. I think it could, and in theory, it would be very helpful.
But that's fine. The question is not, do you live a perfect schedule? The question is, can you see the benefit of having one?
Yes.
As opposed to, well, what are we going to do next?
Right. No, definitely your day would go a lot better. You'd be more efficient. And if, like our lifestyle is so, I don't know what you call it, fluid or flexible, or it varies.
Sure.
The tasks we have to do vary so wildly that
it's
a
not
flexible schedule is better from like our lifestyle.
I don't have a 9-to-5 job. Neither do you. Our kids are not in public school. So all of the regimented everything is different. But we still have tasks that we need to accomplish. And if we're going to get things done, we have, let me start with this. Okay. For everybody, I think Every single person should start out with a strict bedtime and wake up time.
Yeah, that would be a great starting point.
Great
Like
starting
every
point.
day,
I wake
maybe
up
a
at,
morning routine.
you got it.
This is what I do every morning. And
Yep.
I guess I kind of fall into that. This is when I get up.
Yes.
I get whatever I need. If it's kids, they want their water.
Mm-hmm.
I want my decaf coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did it. Read the Bible, pray. And that, just doing that alone would be awesome.
I always say for the kids, brush your teeth, take a shower, maybe a shower the night before, whatever. Okay, you're going to brush your teeth. You're going to change your clothes. You're going to make your bed. You're going to pray and read the Bible. You're going to eat breakfast, and you're going to start your chores or your school or whatever the next thing is.
Right.
But you're going to have some kind of schedule and morning routine. And everybody does better with that.
Yeah, there was some saying or study years ago that said if you will get up and get dressed in decent clothes, get out of your pajamas, brush your hair, make your bed.
Yep.
And ladies, if you put a little makeup on,
yeah,
you feel like 10 times better or something.
Absolutely.
Or you get 10 times more done. I don't know what the study said, but we all know that's true. If you stay in your pajamas, you feel like a slob.
You do. Yeah.
I do.
And then depression starts coming in, and
what's the point?
Yeah. You give up before your first cup of coffee is done.
I look bad. I feel bad.
Yep. Let's just call this day, and we'll start over tomorrow. Games. Yeah. So I totally agree. Even when I don't have work, because for those of us that are maybe just listening, I'm self-employed. I'm a general contractor. I own a plumbing, heating, and cooling company. So I don't have a 9-to-5 job to go to. When work comes in, I do it. When there's no work, I do something else. But and that doesn't happen. It's actually happening way less than it used to. I don't even get days off really anymore, Monday to Friday. But when there is a day when I have nothing to do, I'm still up at 6. I still brush my teeth. I still get dressed. I still come downstairs. I get a cup of coffee. I still read the Bible with the kids and pray. I do that no matter what. That's my morning routine. Whether I have work, whether my first job starts at 10 or my first job starts at 8, I still do the same thing.
Yeah.
And it helps tremendously.
Yeah. And something I was thinking of implementing with our kids, and this is just something how I work personally, every day, I write out on a piece of paper my to-do list for the day, which is always like triple the size of what I can
actually get done. Yeah.
I don't know why that helps me so much. And I feel so good scratching off every task.
Yeah.
And I just thought,
you get an endorphin dump from your brain.
Paper,
when you cross something off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel accomplished because you know you finished a task.
Yeah, and I throw these away almost daily, but I don't care. It's just such an awesome feeling. And I just thought when you're talking about it, instilling that in our kids, might help them get more done every day.
Absolutely.
And it can be the same things on your schedule.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If your morning routine goes till noon, make the list and cross all of those things off. That's fine. You'll feel accomplished, and you'll get into a habit, and your habit will be a successful one that is hard to break because you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
And it does, and everyone's going to be a little different. Some people are going to wake up and they're going to want to work out first thing in the morning.
Right.
Some people are going to want to work out in the evening. Some people shower in the morning. Some people shower in the evening. Some people, whatever.
I mean, whatever does it help. Those little paper to-do lists are my personal jam, I guess.
Here's one that I have. I think when you're talking about a wake-up time, and keep in mind, I understand a certain percentage of people work nights, work, second shift, work whatever. That's fine. For the majority of people, I think they should rise up, quote, a great while before day. And I say that because that's what Jesus did in Mark chapter 1, verse 35. It said that Jesus woke up a great while before day and departed into a solitary place and there prayed. Jesus started his day before sunrise.
Well, and what's that verse that says, if you seek me early? Is that in the Bible?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be able to find it right now unless you want me to look it up.
I remember reading that.
It talks about seeking him
early.
Got it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I always ask Christians that are struggling to kind of start their life as a Christian. And by that, I mean, do the basics. Are you getting up and reading the Bible and praying every day? Is that how you start your day?
Yeah.
If you're struggling to do that, you're really at one of the lowest rungs of a Christian because you have no relationship with God. That's the basics. It only gets harder from there. It only takes more time than that. But you have to start with, am I getting into the Bible and am I talking to God in prayer? And I always tell people, I say, look, if you're struggling to do that, just get up an hour earlier. And they look at me like, what? If you're not willing to sacrifice 1 hour of sleep or go to bed 1 hour earlier and miss 1 hour of TV so that you can get up early enough to do it, then let me just tell you, the kind of Christian you are, you're a joke. Don't be a joke. God has too many Christians that are a joke. Make the decision this week. I am no longer going to be a joke for Jesus. I am going to go to bed an hour earlier. I'm going to get up an hour earlier. And I'm going to have a morning routine that starts with reading and praying, reading the Bible and praying to God. So schedule. I think people should have a schedule. I think people should get their children on a schedule. I think newborns that are no more than 2 months old should be on a schedule. When they go to sleep, when they wake up, when they nurse, they should have a schedule. It will help. It should be started that early. Kids do better when they have an eating and sleeping schedule. When parents just put the kids down for a nap every once in a while, and the parents just give the kids little nibbles of a snack whenever the kids want, it is the most unhealthy way to get sleep and nutrition. We're not gonna get into the weeds there and go over that. Okay, so chores. Tell me what you think about chores.
They're great. I love them. When they're not mine.
Okay.
No, I think you have to have them. A household has to have chores in order for it to run well. With us, it's been, I've had chore lists many times, and I need to get back to our check mark your chore list because that's always helped. One thing, just a little tip that's really helped with us is each one of our kids has their own half-size laundry basket with their name on it in the laundry room. And when theirs gets full, they have to wash it. I haven't stuck to exact laundry days.
Sure.
Because some kids' clothes
go through their
bigger.
clothes faster or less.
And their job in theory, and it sometimes falls apart. You do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Put it in the
You
wash
wash
machine,
it,
you dry it,
you fold it, you put it away.
And it only takes the younger ones, I don't know, a few weeks to really get in the routine. Patrick, our youngest, I still have to remind him, I don't have any clean clothes. Okay, well.
Yeah. Well, let's see why. Yeah. But our next oldest, Grace, who is 9,
she does it.
She does her own laundry. So, and that's really what I want to get across to people is
there's little things you can do.
Yeah.
Little, people call them life hacks, I guess, that can work out great for your family. And I did the half-size laundry basket, so it's not an overwhelming amount at once.
Well, and really for me, my thought was simply, you don't need to wait until they're 16 years old to be doing their laundry.
No, they can do it
at 9 years old. Yeah.
I think kids 7. At 5 could do it.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
It's not. Now, the reason that parents don't go down this road is because how long does it take you to take a load of laundry from our room?
Yeah.
Put it in the washing machine, fill it with soap, set the dial, turn it on, walk away and go do something else. How long does that take?
Like a minute, maybe.
Okay. How long did it take the first time you showed a kid how to do it?
Well, a long time because we spilled the soap and, they didn't know the button. They couldn't reach me.
Yeah,
we got to get a stool
up here. Okay.
10 minutes to show them. But
and then the second time they did it.
Little less.
Okay, but you had to show them several times. It wasn't just once.
And with the younger ones, you still have to stay up. Hey, you have to check in.
Yes.
Did you do it? Why didn't you do it?
Yeah.
But now,
it does take more time.
Yeah,
a lot more time up front.
It's an investment.
That's the idea. Yeah. Are you willing to have the chore take 25 times more time than it needs to.
Initially,
with the understanding that after 6 months, you will never have to teach them again, and you will never have to wash, dry, fold, or put away laundry for your 6 children. So are you willing to do that? And if you're not willing to wrap your head around that, parents, then your life is going to be difficult and miserable and frustrating, stressful, and you're never going to train your kids, because the idea is, oh, well, I can just do it faster. I'm not going to have them do it.
Yeah. And you know what I did? And I need to get, you're getting me thinking, excuse me, I've got a little bit of allergy stuff going on. Good. So I made a list a year ago of all these practical life skills I wanted to teach them that I hadn't thought of. I just hadn't thought of teaching them. Like we did ironing. The boys, everyone.
Yep. This is an ironing
this is how
board.
You iron.
This is an iron.
Yep.
This shirt is made of cotton.
Right.
This one's polyester. You cannot
use the
iron the highest setting on the polyester. Otherwise, it's plastic and crispy.
It'll melt.
You got it.
We even showed, I never used starch, but I showed them that. And you know, one of our sons, Joseph, who's, how old is he going to be? 13, 12.
He's 11, so he'll be 12 in next month.
He had a new hobby. He was ironing.
Yeah.
For like 2 weeks. He wanted to iron everything.
Sure.
And I'm not an ironing person.
Yeah,
I'm terrible at ironing.
Well, and honestly, other than me with like dress shirts, how many things do we really need ironed in this house?
It actually may be something going by the wayside. But
yeah, there's not a ton of ironing. We're not the type of family that's really, has
press shirts.
Yeah, exactly. That we're more, t-shirts and jeans. But
anyway, I'm kind of going off maybe.
Sure.
But I thought of that also this year. I'd like to also start teaching them how to cook an actual meal from scratch.
Yeah.
I'd like to teach them how to plan out the meal, budgeting, the whole thing.
Okay, another one, and this is a big one for parents that they don't want to do or deal with, is having their kids clean their own room. Because again, how fast can a parent do it versus a kid?
I know.
This is
and it takes forever to train them to do it well. Do it well.
You got it. But again, are you going and really think of this? Their room is no different than every other room in the house. You have to teach them how to use a broom and a dustpan. You have to teach them how to mop the floor. You have to teach them how to clean countertops and clean a cooktop and clean an oven. Kids don't know naturally how to clean a toilet, clean a tub, clean a floor, clean a sink. You have to teach them all of these things.
They don't even know what is appropriately clean.
Yeah.
Like, no, socks and banana peels can't be beside your bed.
Yeah.
That's not clean. You go in there, it's clean, Mom.
Yeah. No,
it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah, they
don't understand. This is not clean.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, one of the most frustrating things I had as a parent was learning exactly how much my kids didn't know.
Yeah.
And what I realized was they don't know anything.
No.
And they need to be taught everything. And that's fine. You just have to be willing to have some patience and say, okay, guys, and I'll do this with the kids on the job. I'll do this at the home sometime. Like, all right, everyone stop what they're doing. Everyone come on over. We need to teach you how to clean a countertop, because if dad leans on the countertop and his arm sticks to it, we miss the boat. Yeah. It is not clean. So let me show, what are we using? Okay, that's not good enough. We need something more abrasive because this thing is sticky and crunchy that's on the countertop. So spraying it and wiping it once with a cotton cloth is not going to do it. So going over all of those things, it's just so much time that most parents are not willing to put into teaching their kids. And that's why they do all the laundry, they do all the cleaning, they do everything. And it frustrates me to no end when I see that, because really what I'm looking at is a lazy, worthless parent. That's what I'm looking at. A parent that so many this is the headline problem. Parents think that they're good parents when they do everything. They clean the whole house and the house looks clean. That's not success. That's a failure.
Yeah, your kids didn't learn
Your
anything.
kids didn't learn anything. Your kids didn't do anything. You failed. A clean house where you do everything is a failure as a parent.
Yeah.
All your kids' rooms being clean and their laundry being folded and put away, and you did everything, that's a failure as a parent. That's not a success. Yes, when your friends come over and see your house is clean, they will be impressed, but understand you are a failure in God's eyes because your job was not to do everything for your kids. Your job was to train your children. Your job was to teach them how to work hard. And so many parents don't do it. And in the same way, it's like, yeah, we have great family dinners, and it's like, great, who cooks it all? Well, mom does everything. And then, well, who cleans all the dishes? Well, mom does everything. Well, who cleans the kitchen? Well, mom does everything. That's a failure. Even if it's mom and dad do everything. What on earth are these kids doing? Like, for me, that was always the big thing. It's like, wait, where are all the kids? Oh, they're playing? Bring them on in. There's mess to clean up. I don't care what they're in the middle of. They're going to stop and they're going to deal with all this stuff because that's their job. Our job is to teach them.
Can I tell them myself?
Oh, yeah.
You want to hear the worst parenting fail and lack of training story?
I'm ready. Give it to me.
For those of you out there who maybe didn't hear, we have 6 children.
6 children.
I thought I was doing really well. And our youngest, Patrick, was seriously maybe 5 or 6 when I found out by accident he didn't understand what toilet paper was for. He told me he thought after you go to the bathroom, you pull up a few squares and you just throw it in the toilet
and flush the toilet.
Measure.
And that was his habit. I
didn't know. I had not stopped to train him.
Yep. This is
how to use toilet paper.
This is what you do. Yep.
I was so appalled. I think this is the first time I've told anyone that happened.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
we've dropped the ball.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
There are plenty of times where I've had the kid. I remember when I was like, okay, you are way too old to be learning how to clip your own fingernails.
Yeah.
But we're going to stop what we're doing right now, and I'm going to teach you how to clip your fingernails and clean all the dirt out from your fingernails, because apparently I failed to teach you that before. So here we go.
Yeah, that's the stuff you don't know.
No, just
that they don't know.
It's like, yeah, I guess, yep, I dropped the ball there. We're just going to,
Here we go.
Here we go.
Anyway.
So we went over cleaning their room. Really, this is just the opposite kind of the list that we went over. All right, so let's talk about this. A couple things on here other than like housework is outside of the housework.
I love this subject.
The kids need to mow the lawn. The kids need to spray the weeds. They need to pull the weeds. They need to, I don't know, what else can you add?
Feed the animals. Most households have a couple of pets.
Sure. So if you have cats or dogs, the kids need to feed and water the animals. They need to clean up after the animals, clean out the litter box. They need to, all of this stuff. There is no reason that a parent should be doing any of this stuff.
Yeah, there's other outside chores they could do. I don't know, sweep the walkway.
Yeah.
Shake out the rug.
Shovel the
driveway.
Now, obviously, some of this is going to be age specific.
Right.
And obviously, some of this is going to depend on your house, because like for us, it's like, okay, well, someone's got to feed the chickens, okay, lots of people that don't live on a little bit of property have chickens, but they probably have a dog or a cat or a fish or I don't know what. They have something.
They have windows.
Okay, there you go. They can clean the windows. So another one I was thinking of is if they're old enough, they can learn how to run the lawnmower. They can learn how to run a weed eater. They can learn how to run a rake, or if you're, I don't know the word to say, but for me, I make enough money and I'm lazy enough to not want to have to rake. So I buy a leaf blower. Yeah, I mean, so they're going to learn how to use a rake and run a leaf blower. But if they only have a rake, that's fine. Okay, plenty of us grew up on rakes. For me, I was like, yeah, I need a leaf blower for my work, and then I can use it at the house. They can learn how to clean out the gutters. Okay, we have a lot of trees on our property. On the one side, on the east side of our house, we always have the gutters getting clogged up. I never clean them out. I send a kid up there to do it. I went up on the roof and I taught him how to do it. And I said, this is how you be careful. And this is what you got to do. Bada bing. And, this is how you clean the gutters. And now one of my kids does it. All of these things. And again, it's age appropriate. I'm not going to teach any of my kids how to use a chainsaw, but I am going to teach them how to use a pressure washer, and they're going to learn how to wash cars. They're going to wash cars. They're going to pressure wash the deck. They're going to pressure wash the house. They're going to do these things because it needs to be done, and they're part of the family. And not only is it going to save our family money because we don't have to hire someone to do some of these things, but also it's good for the kids to learn these skills, learn how to operate and maintain equipment, and just learn how to work hard. And this is what it takes to own a home and be successful in the world today.
Yeah, they're learning. They're learning just how life is, how to do life.
Mm-hmm.
When they get older, they'll have to do all of those things for themselves.
Do you know how many? You've said this to me. You've paid me the compliment many times of how grateful you are that you married me because of all the things that I know how to do. And keep in mind, I'm in construction, so I know how to fix things. I mean, that's my job. Do you know how many people I meet where the husband can't change the oil in his car? The husband doesn't know how to operate a pressure washer. The husband, the number of things they don't know how to do. I've had homes where I go over there and I'm hanging a picture on the wall because the husband doesn't know how to use a stud finder and a tape measure to hang a picture. And it's just unbelievable the number of skills that kids are being let out into the world without, and parents have just failed their children and they're not doing their job. And I get it. We have other things that we want to do because none of the things that we're talking about are fun.
Right.
But the big part that parents don't understand is that all the time that you spend training your children is their absolute favorite time of their entire childhood.
That is true. You're also spending time with them.
You're spending time with them. You're teaching them things. They will remember that time forever. And this goes into another one. So I had this written down on my list. If you want your kids to have a hard work ethic, strong, good work ethic, you need to give them jobs that are too hard for them. So they have to learn how to ask for help, and they have to learn to work with their siblings to accomplish the job.
I like that.
You have to give them jobs that are too hard for them. And if you have boys especially, you need to give them jobs that will make them feel like a man. My kids love using the pressure washer, the weed eater, the leaf blower, driving the tractor because they feel like a man.
Yeah. I forget about that.
None of the other kids they know that are their age get to do these things.
It's to the point where if you're not here, I can ask Washington or Moses, who are 14 and 15, what to do, and they can do it.
Yeah.
They are able to help me.
Yep.
And I also wanted to say something else, though. So the product is there.
Yeah.
Washington is like a man already at 14. He can help me with so many tasks that I don't know how to do.
And it didn't happen by accident.
No.
It happened because Dad and him have spent countless hours together.
Yeah, he can fix all sorts of things around the house. Today, he helped me stretch out the hose. Actually, both of them were working today. They put a whole, they did a bunch of work. They put the couch in the dumpster for me, put it on the tractor, everything. What I was just wanting to say as a side note is what you're describing is in these people who aren't working, these men, you're describing just a lack of confidence. They're not willing to learn it. And I can remember, well, you know me pretty well. I can do a lot. There are certain things I'm still a little hesitant to try. But I remember my dad teaching me, his daughter, along with his sons, here, this is how you change oil on a car.
This is how you change a
This is how
tire.
you change a tire. So I wasn't afraid of that when I was single.
Mhm.
I knew how to change my tire. I knew
Mhm.
how to what to do with jumper cables.
Yep.
If I needed to, I could change a battery,
Again,
stuff like that.
when a vehicle in our house has it needs air, who does it?
The boys do
The
it.
boys do. They get the compressor out, they bring it over, they plug it in, they roll out the air hose, they check the tire pressure, they know how to look on the outside of
Yeah.
the tire to find what the pressure should be, and they pump it up, and then they pack everything up and put it
Right.
away. I don't do it.
That's,
I don't jump a dead battery either. Forget that. I have 6 kids. I say, boys, and they come running down and they say, this vehicle's dead. And they get the keys and they bring another vehicle over and they pop the hood and they, keep it open. They get the cables out and they put them on. They do it all.
Yeah.
13, 14, 15 years old. I'm not doing it.
well, what I was going to say is that's really great because looking back on my own experience, I was given confidence.
Mhm.
And maybe if I don't know how to do something, at least I wasn't afraid to look into it.
And that's something that our
Try.
kids have that most of their peers do not. And when they go to work, they're not going to be scared to jump in and do something because they're like,
Or try to learn. If they don't know, they'll at least give it a shot.
you got it. It's not going to be a scary thing
Yeah.
because they have all these skills already.
Right.
They've overcome all these other things.
Yeah.
So we are, where are we at? We're past an hour. Any final thoughts as far as work ethic, chores, what you should do, what you should not do? I mean, anything. I'm kind of like out of notes, so we can chit chat
okay.
as long as we want to go. I just want to,
I did have one last point that I got from
Mhm.
there's a certain group of people called unschoolers.
Yeah.
Where it's actually not what you think it was. I asked a friend of mine, what is that?
So
You just sit
explain to
around?
everyone because everyone listening has no
I
concept of
know.
what you're
I
saying.
didn't either. I thought that
Okay.
meant you do nothing. It's not actually that way. It's more of a student-led approach if the child expresses an interest.
They don't even know you're talking about homeschooling yet.
Oh, okay.
Start from the beginning.
It's a homeschooling approach.
Okay.
It's a way of homeschooling where the parent follows more of what the student, what their desires are, and they kind of go with it. So what I gathered from them, we're not unschoolers, but if your child is interested in something, if you can help them get into that, whatever it is, subject, then you should let them try it if you're able to. And the specific example I was thinking of was when it comes to work. Our kids want to try to sell lemonade. I let them do it.
Yeah.
But we talk about how much did it cost for the cups and the lemonade? You have to pay me back. And we have an opportunity here. Actually, you don't know this. Washington, our 14-year-old, was expressing interest in trying pigs again.
Oh, okay.
So, and I know not everyone has land, but there's things kids can do.
Yeah.
And how many times do kids come to us and they say, oh, I'd really like to do this. And we're so busy. We're like, oh, I don't want to hear about that. Or it sounds ridiculous or sounds like something we can't do. And we just kind of brush it off. I think that's a mistake. I don't know what someone else's child would be interested in, but
I can tell you when I was a kid, I asked my dad, and this is kind of telling you how old I was, but when the Game Boy first came out, so Nintendo's small handheld, battery operated, 2-button video game came out, I wanted one. I thought this was the neatest thing in the world. And it was the first handheld video game. I don't know if it was the first, but it was one of the first where you could change the games and play kind of more complicated games. So I was really excited to get one. My dad said, great, there's the lawnmower. The gas is in the garage. He said, walk up and down the street, knock on the neighbors' homes and see if they'll let you mow their lawn. And
that's perfect.
Yeah. And he said, as soon as you get enough money for it, I'll drive you to the store and you can buy it.
And what'd you do?
I did exactly that. I mowed lawns all summer. I shoveled driveways all winter. I mean, I just, I did that nonstop until I saved up. The thing was almost $100. And we're talking about, I don't know, it was sometime like in the 80s or something, maybe early 90s when that thing came out. So I wasn't more than, I don't know, 12 years old, 10 years old, something in there. So for me, I learned, okay, well, this is what you do when you want money. And we mentioned this, but I didn't really get into specifics. we make enough money to where we could buy all of our kids a bike. Did we buy all of our kids a bike?
No.
No. We made our kids get jobs and save up money and then buy their own bike.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that for most of our kids. And then what they found out is that they could take care of their bike and they could sell it to their younger sibling or give it to them as a gift, and they could get a new one. We did the same thing. The boys saved up because they wanted a PlayStation. So they just all saved up their own money and they bought a PlayStation and they share that. They saved up and bought soccer goals. So out in the grass, they set up goals and they can play soccer with their friends. They saved up they bought a trampoline together. They do all kinds of things where if they want it, great, save up the money and go buy it. And the lesson they are learning is that's what the real world is like. When you want something, it doesn't matter how much you want it. It matters how much money you have.
Yeah. Don't look for a handout. Don't wait for a rescuer.
Yep.
For your family to bail you out or the government to bail you out.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of that.
Yep. There is work to be done. There are people that are willing to give you money.
Do it yourself.
You got it. Go and do it.
Work.
Here's another thing. In our, I don't want to say neighborhood because, like everyone around us has like 6 acres. So it's kind of spread out. It's not like we're in a subdivision. But in our area, and not only in our area, all over town, people know that they can hire the Hayes boys and they will come over and work for them all day and they can pay them. And we are constantly getting people. All of our neighbors around here have asked, can the boys come over and do this? Can they do that? I have customers that are like, hey, could I ever hire your boys to come over? And,
we had times where they were going to be double booked if I said yes.
Yeah, because there were so many people that wanted them that the weekends were already full and we're like, sorry, man, you got to call ahead earlier. They already got someone else that, they're going to do something for. So the kids are already known throughout our friends and my customers as hard workers, and people can hire them to go over to their house and get a bunch of stuff done. And when they go over there, they're not on a smartphone because they don't own one, and they don't complain. They just go to work. They work all day. They never have a problem. If they do run into an issue, they ask you a question as to what to do. Like I said, they don't complain. And at the end of the day, everyone is like, wow, that was great. You got so much done. I'm so happy.
Well, and you know what I just thought of? In our day and age with people getting lazier and the workforce getting worse.
Oh, yeah.
All you have to do to help your child succeed is teach them to work.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't know how to read or write. I think they would
Are you ready for this? All you need to do nowadays is teach your kids how to be average.
I know.
Because average is the new excellence.
I have met so many of Patrick's, I won't call them coworkers, but other guys in blue collar industries, right? I have met like 5 of them who have told me it is so hard to find a good worker. Everyone coming out and working for them in their 20s is on their phone all the time. They're getting in trouble. They don't want to work.
And for some reason, I don't know why employees don't do this, because let's see, when I moved to Colorado, I got my first cell phone. So that was 2001. It was probably 2 years after that. And it was actually a guy that I was working for got me one. And he's like, here, you need a cell phone. I need to be able to get a hold of you when I need you. And I was like, I really don't want this stupid thing. I've had jobs that I've been on where the boss is like, when you show up to work, you put your cell phone over here on this table. And that's it. And it sits there. And other guys are like, it stays in your car. If I see you with a cell phone in your hand, that's it. You're fired. That is you quitting this job. I don't know why everyone doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know where everyone got the idea that they have a right to a cell phone. To stop working and get on a cell phone. It's like my entire life, I lived without the ability to be called or call anybody. It's like, well, what if there's an emergency? Well, they would call the office and someone would come and get me on the factory floor and they would yell, something happened and, can you call your mom back when that's what happened.
I remember.
If we go back 20 years, a woman would go into labor and they would have to track down the husband. It was fine. Everyone made it. Everyone still survived. Nowadays, everyone seems to think that they have to be able to get a text or a phone call at a second's notice. Otherwise, the world's going to fall apart. And as far as employees, that would, if I had guys working for me, that would be my first rule is nope, you leave your cell phone in the car. If I see you with your cell phone one time, that's it, you're fired. And they say, oh, but I don't care. Make the decision. I gave you the rule. Decide right now what you want to do. You can go home right now because I can call quick temps. There's 10 guys that I could get over here in less than an hour that want to work. So make your decision. Okay, those are the rules. I'm the boss. I make the rules. That's the rule. Other places. And do you think that doctors and nurses are allowed to have their cell phone on them all the time? Do you think that firemen, when they show up to a fire, are allowed to have their cell phones on them? It's just such a ridiculous idea. And the fact that we're training teenagers in these, entry level jobs to think that they have some special right to a cell phone to not work just blows my mind. I don't understand it. So I say all that to say this. I agree. I know what you're saying. So many people complain they can't find anyone to go to work and to work hard. So if any parent is willing to listen to what we're talking about, what the Bible says, and our experience and what we've been able to produce with our kids, we are literally setting our kids up for excellence. Our children are the new standard. I hate to say it. In the workforce, our kids are the standard. Our kids are better than most 20 and 30-year-olds that are in the workforce today. That's a joke.
Yeah. Well, I was just shocked as to what I was hearing from many people. And I thought, yeah, if I forgot to do scholastics for some reason,
yep.
and I could get away with it.
Yep.
But if they knew how to work, I think they'd be okay.
They would be okay. Yeah.
Well.
Okay, everybody, I just wanted to say thank you for coming out. You can catch us live on our video on YouTube or Facebook every Sunday night at 7 p.m. All you got to do is Google Bible Thumper Podcast. You will find our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. We would ask that you would subscribe to that channel and that you would hit the little bell icon on YouTube so every time a video comes up, you are notified of it. We would also ask that you go to your favorite podcast platform, whether it be Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever. Please subscribe, share, like, comment on the podcast. That helps us get this podcast in front of other people. You can always get a hold of me, Patrick Hayes, by emailing me at BibleThumperPodcast@gmail.com. And we just want to say thank you for joining us. And please join us every third Sunday of the month when my wife, JoAnna, is going to come on the podcast with me. And the two of us are going to talk about Christian families, Christian homes, raising Christian children, and how to apply the Bible practically to your life. We hope we gave you something interesting to think about and to discuss with your friends. And as always, we appreciate you joining us on the Bible Thumper Podcast, where somebody's got to say it.